I'm Stefan Christoff, and I am here with my collaborator Abdelali Essaouis, and this report for Community University TV is looking at struggles for housing justice. We are here at Artext, which is an artist-run center in the middle of the city in Quartier de Spectacle. And tonight there was a panel where we heard from different artists speaking about their perspectives on gentrification in the city and also about the different struggles for housing justice today, but also in the past. And I think right now it's really essential to think about housing justice struggles across different spaces. Artist-run centers, community organizing, even labor unions and student unions. The scale of the crisis is affecting so many different communities. And I think some of the voices that you'll hear, including artists who are doing silkscreen prints for housing justice, speak to some of the different facets of the elements of a broader housing justice movement in Montreal. You'll also see later on in this short video some street-level postering of a print for housing justice, which gives you, I think, a bit of sense of a street-level presence of calls for housing rights that are expressed also in street art and poster art here in the city. So you'll hear from different voices who participated in this panel and also get a sense of street art culture in the city in relation to housing justice.
I guess the first thing I would say is that housing is and should be a right? It's like the basic requirement for human dignity, right? To be sheltered along with food and clothing, right? So the fact that the conversation is that housing as a necessity, right, is a reflection of where we are in the society, right? Number one, but it also means that because we're discussing something that we shouldn't have to discuss because it's so fundamental, right? It precludes us having the kinds of conversations that we otherwise need to be having about where we should be in the world. Like, in other words, it's so basic that we shouldn't have to have a conversation, but we're in that conversation because we have to have it. If that makes sense. And I guess related to that is that it precludes us having a conversation about the kind of world we want to live in, right? The kind of leisure time that we would have if so much of our time and energy and financial resources were not dedicated to housing first and foremost. I don't remember what the numbers are, but it's like, I think it's gone from, at one point being 20% of people's basic income being spent on housing in the city. I think it's now somewhere like 50-60% now. It's some crazy figure now, right? So how do you live under those circumstances? How do you breathe and create the space to kind of think beyond basic needs and human dignity towards creating a different and better world, right? When something so fundamental is so scarce. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's hard. I find it a bit hard right now. It feels a bit, not hopeless. I never want to say hopeless, but like, I feel like what you were saying earlier, there'll happen where there'll be this like big groundswell mobilization, but then like it's hard to like keep it moving. But I think also like I've just been thinking about how much like SLAM, I forget what the anachronism means, but that housing organizations is really radical here. And everywhere is like plastered right now with the like, got an increase, like let's refuse together, and that is just like, even that just made me feel like less alone, even the visual impact and the repetition of seeing that everywhere, and then they were like handing out flyers at the subway, and my roommate brought one home, and now it's on my fridge, and now my landlord's showing fucking new tenants our apartment, and it's right there, you know what I mean? So like, I do think about the visual element and the poster and flyer in particular. I mean, the posters like we're interacting with on our daily like life in the outdoors, which is like the public, which is like, you know what I mean, where some of us do maybe our only interactions outside of work, you know, sometimes. And then the flyer is kind of interesting. Like I was like kind of surprised when like I was like, oh, someone's like out there flyering, because like actually that is the direct work, that the one-to-one where you hand me a flyer and maybe I'm like tell you to get lost, but maybe I like take it and I'm like, what is this? And then we have this conversation, you know what I mean? And then there's this like sort of transformation. So like even me like being involved in like sort of like more activist scenes, I was just feeling like, you know, like, fuck my landlord, they're raising it $90, I'm out of here, there's mold, like, I hate this place. And then I was like, oh yeah, like, we're fused together, like, let's do this, you know? And I think, yeah, maybe, like, visual culture postering brings that. Yeah, we came full circle in that answer.
Thank you.
I would say that a lot of people think that the housing crisis is has just emerged in the last 3 to 5 years with the increase of speculative market housing, bringing rents to an unprecedented rate. Personally, I don't think that's true. I think there's always been a tension and maybe not a crisis, but a housing justice issue in the city of Montreal, whether it is urban renewal projects displacing people, whether it is gentrification, whether it is rampant development, or even tax loopholes given by the city to developers who sit on vacant lots, and for them to be able to claim it as a tax loss, thus incentivizing developers to leave spaces vacant. Just things like that that are not recent actually have played out in the last 20, 30, 40 years. David just mentioned Expo 67 as being one of the factors of the disappearance of Little Burgundy, destruction and disbursement of the community. So I mean, it goes back far, is what I would say. It is a struggle that has been constant, that has been present in various decades of Montreal history.
In this video report on housing justice struggles in Montreal, we heard important and different perspectives. We heard from Black historian David Austin, who's the author of Fear of a Black Nation, speaking about historical struggles for housing justice within Black communities here in the city. We heard from Parker Mah, who is involved in the Gia Foundation in Chinatown, a physical space that speaks to the living memory of community struggles in Chinatown, a very important community struggling right now against gentrification. And we heard from artist Christeen Francis, who's a street artist, a poster maker, and is part of the Justseeds artist cooperative, and has been doing visuals about housing justice struggles for some time. These three voices are a chance to get a sense, a small window into different perspectives on a very broad movement that includes many voices, many organizations, many collectives that are on the front lines of a housing crisis that is affecting the city deeply. Of course, this crisis is international, it's touching many cities. So I would encourage you to re-listen to those voices, look into their work, learn about what they do, but also think about what you heard and the perspectives shared within a broader struggle that is going to be very paramount to grassroots struggles and politics in this city moving forward in the next couple years, which is the struggle for housing justice. Also, I shared a small moment of putting up street lettering here in the city, the letters reading Housing Justice Now. I'm Stefan, Christoff, and I produced this report as a community media maker, but also as an artist. I co-produced it with Abdelali Essaouis for Concordia University Television, or Community University Television, CUTV. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.